Ys, Oath, and Felghana is a remake of Ys 3 Wanderers of Ys, the third game in the franchise. This was Falcom's mission to not only remake the game and make it a much more smoother experience since Wanderers of Ys was very rough around the edges, but it was also to build a bigger continuity and make the titles come together to tell one massive story. Though Ys can be played without really having an understanding of the other titles, they are all kind of connected by the same, by a lot of the same legends and myths, and through the records of Adol's journal. Really as good as people say it is it a game that lives up to the amount of hype that people give this? Well, sit back, relax, and let's find out as we review Ys, Oath, and Felghana. Oath and Felghana, from what I could gather, was almost identical to the plot in Wanderers of Ys. Some things were slightly changed to make the game a better continuity among the series, or just to make things feel a bit more smooth. We once again take the role of our favorite red-headed adventurer Adol Christian, as him and his friend Dogi return to Dogi's homeland of Felghana. The stage is immediately set when monsters start attacking a young girl from Redmont Village. Adol is able to fend them off. Dogi catches up with Adol, where they learn that the young girl's name is Elena, Dogi's childhood friend. Adol and Dogi learn that Felghana has been overrun by monsters over the past year. Elena's brother Chester has also been working for Count Maguire. After the mayor gets caught in the mine, Adol decides to help them out and rescue him, and of course eventually unravel the mystery behind the monster's attacks. Like many early Ys games, you play as Adol, who acts as the silent protagonist. Since the game is played through his perspective, you don't get to see what Dogi is up to. Ys is a series that has never been an emphasis on story. It's good, the plot keeps you interested, but the story is about Adol's more so travels than them trying to have a grand plot. The series isn't something you'll typically play for the story or characters. That doesn't, however, mean that the characters are not interesting. This time around, you get to learn quite a bit more about Dogi and see him fleshed out as a character, but you also get to see the game focus on its other characters as well. This is a drastic improvement overall from the first two games, as I felt more connected to the characters this time around. Without spoiling anything, I can say that the game's characters are given believable motives that make them interesting. The gameplay really is the bread and butter of the Ys series, and Oath and Felghana is no different. It plays in the same style of a top-down hack and slash sprinkled with RPG elements. I've heard many make direct comparisons to The Legend of Zelda, and while I think it's a fair comparison, I think the game stands on its own quite well and isn't just a copy of Zelda. Basic enemies are pretty easy to slay, there isn't too much difficulty to them. Using a succession of slashes, Adol is able to kill them pretty quickly. The pacing of the combat feels really nice, and the bump system from the first two games kept the combat fast and quick. While it doesn't move as quickly as the bump system, Falcom has created a method that finds a great balance between the two, and it works really well. One of the neat things is how it handles leveling up or grinding. The monsters you kill will increase your EXP booster, potentially making it where you can get 2 times the experience for every enemy you kill. The meter will continually decrease as you kill more enemies, but stop and it goes down and disappears. It's pretty easy to keep going from screen to screen to keep it going. You're also able to get various buffs from potions enemies drop to make your strength higher or boost your MP recovery rate. Magic can also be used in combat, and there are 3 types: earth, wind, and fire. Fire will send fireballs hurling towards your enemies. It works as a projectile weapon and makes it easy to deal with enemies that are far away or airborne where you can't hit them. Wind will create a cyclone, which can be used to get multiple hits on a single enemy or take down multiple enemies at once. Earth, on the other hand, creates a barrier that will damage enemies by charging into them. The barrier it creates will also give you immunity to attacks, which can help you in frustrating situations. Oath and Felghana's boss battles are a double-edged sword though. On one hand, it offers some truly exciting boss battles that will challenge you to learn the movement and patterns of each enemy. However, as much fun as the bosses are to fight, they can seem outright unfair at times. The early boss patterns are easy to pick up on, but later bosses in the game are not always clear or don't work as intended. For example, while fighting the Clockwork Machine, a late game boss, it would continually shoot missiles at me. You have to jump in order to outrun them, but the machines on other occasions would shoot a giant laser as I was trying to dodge the missiles, knocking me down and dealing damage. Not only would the laser damage me, but the missiles would as well. I found this happening a bit too frequently during this fight, making it frustrating to get through. Though the nice thing about the Ys games is if you ever find yourself struggling with a boss, you can always upgrade your armor or level up a couple levels, and usually that does the trick. For the most part though, the bosses worked well and among the best thing about the game. Let's talk about the platforming in Ys. While you will be jumping from platform to platform and collecting items and opening chests, it feels solid and smooth, and anytime I screwed up, it was because I wasn't understanding how something worked. The dungeon layout was really good too. There were places where you can return and open to a new area once you grabbed a new magic item. It does switch between 2.5D gameplay and 3D mode. It's a bit weird to explain, but the transition happens smoothly and you don't even realize it's doing it. It's a nice little nod to the original Wonders of Ys title, while making it much more polished than Wonders of Ys. Magic will also be necessary to continue forward, but simply put, you find yourself not being able to move past certain points, so you'll need to backtrack and find an area you haven't explored to find an item or magic to progress. Much like the first two games, items are often needed to find secrets or open doors, so be on the lookout. Oh my gosh, its music is fantastic. I think that this is one of the best soundtracks I have heard in a very, very long time. And that's not a compliment that I give out willingly. I am very much a person who just listens to the music and is just there. So for Oath and Felghana to go above and beyond to make this amazing soundtrack that just works, like not only does it know when to hit the cues of an emotional moment and make you feel legitimately sorry for the characters, it has these rock themes or these other orchestrated music that fits the mood. It puts you in the mood to explore. And that's what I've loved about Ys' soundtracks. They're so fitting for the world that you are exploring. And on a side note, this is an arrangement of Wonders of Ys. They took the same music from Wonders of Ys and used it. After listening to the original soundtracks and listening to the arranged soundtrack, I prefer the arranged soundtrack, and that's unique for me because I always really like the option to be able to have the option to go back and listen to the soundtrack the way that they were intended to be in their original versions. But I have to say that Ys, Oath and Felghana's arrangement, I prefer it over the original. And that's so weird because, like I said, I enjoy the original much, much more. I wasn't enjoying Ys Chronicles arrangement until I put it on the PC 88 version, and then it was like the soundtrack was just amazing. But here it was the opposite. The people who made the soundtrack did an exceptional job, and they deserve the praise that they get for this game's soundtrack. So in closing, Oath and Felghana is a very solid experience. Though there's some hiccups with the boss fights and the boss patterns and how sometimes that they work, it's a relatively minor gripe to otherwise what is an amazing game. Its story and characters are presented in a way to keep you interested and enthralled and give you something to push forward to as you take Adol through this journey. And with a stellar soundtrack, it is worth playing. I'm giving this my Gaming with Spoons seal of approval. If you are looking for a solid action RPG or a game to play that fills that nostalgic Zelda itch, this might be a game that is up your alley. If you want to see more reviews like this, be sure to hit subscribe, ring that bell notification, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Link's going to be down below in the description box, as well as our Twitch, where we will be streaming the games that we are playing on the channel. The next game on the channel we are going to review is Digital Devil Saga. This was supposed to be our next review, but I've been waiting for Christmas break, and I wasn't expecting to finish Up East as quickly as I did. So be sure to go over to Twitch and follow us over there so you can see those streams live when we go live with Digital Devil Saga. And most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking out.
Rend, slaughter, devour your enemies. There is no other way to survive. You cannot escape your hunger. Warriors of Purgatory.